I do apologize, guys. I've been quiet. I have. And we just got back from holidays and stuff like that, and Christmas and New Year has really caught up with me tired wise. I've been crazy tired. I don't know if anybody's been the same. Just all this drinking, staying up, eating. It's very exhausting. It's very exhausting doing nothing, isn't it? But we're back to it. The Call of Duty season has somewhat resumed with the Pro Down that went on this weekend, and United ended up as winners. And I just want to give a quick breakdown of my thoughts on the Pro Down, what it all means, what the results mean. Is there anything to take from this? Because a lot of people have sort of said, well, there hasn't been too much practice over the holiday period, so that's why some of these results have been the same way that they have. But realistically, you have to read into it just a little bit. It's still competitive play. It's still as competitive as we're going to get online. So it's important to maybe just touch on it. Now, as I said, I don't want to read into it too much, this result from the Pro Down, but of course, as I said, practice over the holidays has been pretty low. So for me, I think a lot of people have been looking at OG and what happened to them. Okay, so they lost to G2, then they won a few loser bracket games against LG, Pittsburgh Knights, but then they got 3-0'd by Red. Now, a couple of people were saying, oh, it's all to do with host and Red. It could be a factor, but still, realistically, you don't want to look into it too much. First and foremost, there's always going to be a difficulty when these two teams do play against each other because they're on different sides of the continent, of course. So making things very, very difficult connection-wise mean you can't read into it too much. But either way, OG didn't win, which is what a lot of people would have expected. That's their bar right now, and they ended up crashing out to Red in one of the losers bracket games. I think it might be losers semis or quarters or something like that. So, as said, probably like if you're an Optic player, an Optic fan, you are disappointed with that result. But as said, I wouldn't read into it too much. But we seen in Vegas that there was chinks in the armor. They're still obviously there as well. So look, OG have got things to work on. Yes, okay, they did win Vegas, but none of these teams look like a dominant team like Rise did last season, of course, in World War II quite yet. I know there's a lot of the season left to play and we've only had one event, but they don't quite look on that level. They look beatable. They are beatable. Let's see how they do at the next LAN, because we're not going to see them until Pro League. I think Pro League does actually start before we do go to Fort Worth, but Pro League is the next time we're going to see them. Let's see where they're at then. As said, Optic fans wouldn't get too worried just yet, but realistically, a disappointing result for them. FaZe beat LG pretty convincingly, but then lost to E United. Not much to read into because E United, as I said, looked very, very good. They did go on to win the tournament, but FaZe with their new fourth in Celium. I expressed my concerns the other day in a video about Celium and about all the roster mania that happened over Christmas and New Year, and he was one of the guys that I picked upon to say, you've got to be slightly worried for this FaZe team just because the experience isn't there. He's playing in his bedroom. He doesn't really have the LAN experience, and it's a high-pressure environment at Pro League qualifier. I need to see some good performances out of them online to give me a little bit of faith in this FaZe roster. I do think they'll be fine, but if I was to pick any of the top teams that are going to find difficulties at the Pro League qualifier, I'd say it's going to be them and 100 Thieves are going to struggle, I feel. I think they will make it, but I think it'll be close for them. They have to be very, very careful not to mess up, and they have to be making sure that they're continuing their teamwork, making sure Celium is embedded in this team nicely, let him do what he wants to do, and just coach him nicely, and they should be okay. But as I said, it's a high-pressure scenario for him to have to drop it into. Now, Splice's performance, I'd argue that was an underperformance by them. They didn't get any easy games at all, so they lost to Red, beat Envy, then lost to E United. So I think, I said you can't really into it too much. I think they'd be big in the first round of the winners bracket as well. So as said, it's the same with plenty of these other top teams. Want to touch on for the fact that there's 4 teams that obviously aren't at the Pro League qualifier that have been Splice, LG, E United and Optic, of course, because they finished top 4. Vegas automatically qualify for Pro League. So these guys have probably been practicing less than anybody else. The other teams have got so much on the line. These guys don't actually have to attend a LAN event until February, and they've already got the game locked down. So I said take all of their results probably with a massive pinch of salt, because I think I said you can try and pick it apart as much as possible, but realistically, they don't have too much to play for right now. It's good practice for them just to get back in the swing of things after the new year. I don't really want to read into it too much. As said, you could argue it's a slight underperformance by them. You would maybe expect them to give Red a better game. I mean, E United, the game against them was pretty close. So as said, Splice looked okay, but maybe a slight underperformance from them. So let's talk about Red, actually, while we're on. So they did make it to the winners semis against G2, but then lost 4-3, so they'd already beat Splice, but they 3-0'd Optic, so that would have been nice for them. That would have been a nice confidence booster. As said, a lot of people talk about the connection issues, that sort of thing. I believe one of the maps was on Optic's host, though, so you can sort that. You can put that out of the way for that series, I suppose, in that case, but I think it's an okay result for them. They'd be relatively happy with the practice. I did see that series against E United out most of the time when I was watching. I know it tends to happen quite late at night here in the UK. I mean, I was watching Rated Stream start up yesterday against E United, and that was at like 11 p.m. The series against E United, they did pretty much get outplayed. E United did look really, really good, but they were very, very close games. Apart from the hard point, of course. But realistically, I think Red Reserve will be relatively happy. I think they'd be disappointed they lost to G2 4-3 against that team. You would expect them to probably win that one. But losing to E United is nothing out of the question for Red. I feel as if they look at that and say, right, okay, a very good team. We haven't lost anybody rubbish, but they'd be disappointed in the way that it's happened with a 3-0. But I was in the chat and Rated was saying he thinks Arcitys might be the best AR on the game, and he really did show up for E United. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes on. And again, I know Red didn't have a lot of practice over Christmas. I know that Bance was home for Christmas. Obviously, he's got a girlfriend and everything over here, so that's important. You need to spend time with family, etc. So he's been doing that over Christmas. So realistically, as I said, practice hasn't been paramount for them. They get back into it though, not too bad a result. E6 have made a decent little run in this event. They won a few games. That's positive for them because they had a terrible time in Vegas. They'll be glad of that decent performance. That'll give them a little bit of confidence. Let's talk about 100 Thieves. I mean, they've continued to struggle. As I said, this is not one of the teams that finished top 4 and are already in Pro League. These are one of the guys that need to qualify, and these are one of the guys that need to step up their game. You look at this roster on paper, and it should be causing problems for everybody. They struggled. They got, what did they get? 3-0, 3-0? Let's have a look. Okay, so they lost 4-1 to Red in the winners bracket round 1. They lost a big 3-1. That's not good. That really is not good. Who's on big? So Apox, Rambi, Super Teddy Rex, and Zaptius. Right. I mean, for a team like 100 Thieves, you need to be winning those games. I don't care what you say, man. I think even though it's online, that sort of thing, they need to start getting some confidence. I feel as if they're really going to struggle at the Pro League qualifier if they do not start getting some results. They need to go into whatever group they get put into, which I do believe is out tonight, I think. So we will have a predictions video for the groups out tomorrow. I think if they continue to struggle and they don't start getting wins under their belt, they want to go into their group and they need to start winning games. It doesn't matter who it's against. If you start winning games against teams like big people like that, people like E6, teams you expect them to be, teams who are going to be on the cusp of nearly qualifying, games that you expect them to win, they need to start winning just to breed some confidence. That seems to be one of the biggest problems because losing becomes a habit. You forget how to win, and it just seems as if they don't really have that right now. Again, as said, probably haven't as much practice, but at the same time, losing the big is not a game you would expect them to be losing. So, as I said, they need confidence. They really, really do going into Pro League qualifier, or they are in for a rough 5 days, as are the 100 Thieves fans. And I really want this team to succeed. I love the brand that Nadeshot's created and everything like that. So I want this team to succeed. But I feel as if they do struggle at PLQ, there is absolutely changes coming in. G2. Yeah, G2 put on a really good performance, actually. Their new roster coming in. Obviously, we've got Methods joining that roster. They're the highest placing team that are at the PLQ. So, something to take into consideration. But they took some big names. I'm just reading them off here. Beating OG, FaZe, Red, and then they beat Season or SEN. I'm going to say Season. I might be wrong, but we'll stay with Season. Either way, they beat some good teams on the way. So, a good confidence boost for them going into next week. That's really going to help them when they go into that. They're going to be feeling themselves, looking that this roster is working out for the better. G2 themselves didn't have a very good Vegas. Methods struggle with FaZe, so he comes in, they have a good performance online. It's all sunshine and roses. It's what you want. This is the thing with online. It's not necessarily something you read into too much, but if it's giving you that confidence, that helps so much. Momentum and confidence is a massive thing. G2 put in a good performance here. They'd be very happy with second. I think if somebody told you, would you be happy with a second placement going into this Pro Down, irrelevant if it's online, they'd be relatively happy with that one. So I'm happy for G2. Looking good for them moving into the Pro League qualifier. So let's touch on season a little bit. I just didn't want to talk about it too much because obviously this roster is not at the PLQ. I think there's a few of them that are under 18. Can't remember exactly who, but when they do come of age, this team are going to be good. They look very, very solid. They have so much talent. Their shots and everything are insane. Shotsy obviously being one of the main guys, and that one Simp as well is obviously fantastic. So keep an eye on them. And the amateur circuit, when we do get to these next few events, when they do start becoming 18, and it allows them to actually attend the event and keep out for them next year. I think if things go really, really well, then we'll see them stick together. But let's see how the rest of the season goes for these guys. Obviously, a couple of them under 18, so it's difficult for them to obviously compete in the top leagues because you obviously have to be over 18. So we will see. This is a team to look out for in the future. So let's talk about the winners. Let's talk about E United. So second in Vegas for them was a very good result. I had them top 4, but I didn't think they'd push on the second. I did think Splice would probably go on to beat them in that losers final, but in the end, they eventually do beat Splice somehow, and then did lose to Optic, which we probably expected, but a good result for them. Realistically, everyone would have been very, very happy with that one. The only thing that I'm disappointed at with their win is that we didn't see it against top opposition with plenty of practice and everyone on the same level. Irrelevant of that though, they beat some good teams on the way and looked very, very solid. I don't think they ever really looked like losing. The double reverse sweep coming in against G2 in the finals has got to feel good as well. And it wasn't a double reverse sweep. It was just a double bracket win. Don't know. First video in a while. Just ignore me. But realistically, I think it's good for them to get these results in. As said, they'll be one of the teams that doesn't have to qualify for the doesn't have to qualify through the PLQ. So for them to be putting up these results, maybe with lack of practice, is good for them, and it bodes well for E United. Looking forward to seeing what they do. Same with all the other teams who haven't qualified for the PLQ or already in the Pro League. I'm looking forward to what they look like come Pro League time. Now, I read a little bit at the bottom here saying what to take from this. And as said, I think E United look very, very good. They've cemented themselves as a contender. We know that. If they can keep up this consistency, they're going to be very, very good all year. Another thing I want to touch on, Red look pretty solid. I think as if they had a pretty decent result here. I don't want to read into it too much. The same with everything else on this one. But Red Reserve having a good time of things, and that will give them confidence going into the PLQ. As said, 100 Thieves, LG, teams like that. LG doesn't matter so much because they've already qualified for Pro League, but it's still something that they want to look at. But at the same time, 100 Thieves struggling. I feel as if they're going to be in danger. They potentially could be in danger when we get to the Pro League qualify, which is going to be insane, by the way, guys. I really can't wait for it. I'm really excited to watch it. Or it might be there, who knows at this point, but I'm excited for it. I just think there's a couple of bad results in here for a couple of teams that need some confidence, and I just feel as if teams like 100 Thieves, teams like FaZe didn't really get it. And they need it. They need it at this point. But anyway, there you go. The Pro League qualifier starts next week. This was the Pro Down. Who came up with this name, by the way? Pro Down is just... It's not very good. No, I'm not a big fan of the whole Pro Down name. Anyway, we're going to end the video there, guys. Let me know what you thought of the results. Do they mean so much, realistically, when you look at the practice that's happened or lack of practice that's happened over Christmas and New Year? How much do they mean? What do you think about the Red and OG game? Red winning 3-0. I know a lot of people want to talk about the connection. Do you think it has so much of a factor? Do you think OG are just underprepared or under-practiced? Do you think Red are maybe looking a little bit better? Do you think 100 Thieves are actually going to make the Pro League? Because at this minute in time, I'm not 100% certain. Who do you think is a definite sure in? Let me know in the comments below. We're going to have a video out tomorrow predicting who's going to top the groups in the Pro League qualifier. Do you mind? Cats jumping all over the place. It's the end of the video. It's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. We'll see you for another video tomorrow.